So we're here at the final talk on manifestation through relaxation. This is the fourth part, so if you have missed any of them, you can check it out on YouTube, on our channel there. The previous talks are on there. This ending, this finale, is relaxing in truth. And we have this misconception that to manifest something, we have to do something. To manifest, we have to get busy. Well, that's just something we've learned. Through these talks, we have moved to a point where we can start seeing this truth that we can relax into. In part one, we talked about living as our spiritual selves, and that's key. We're spiritual beings having a human experience, but in our mind and the world tells us the other way around. That we're human beings, and every once in a while we have a spiritual experience. If we're tuned in out there and looking at what out there is saying is right, we're just human beings, and sometimes we get lucky. We are spiritual beings having this human experience, and it's an incredible human experience. We talked about releasing the limitations of our human thoughts, our human beliefs. We talked about freeing ourselves to experience the goodness and the love that is everywhere present. And in that, we begin experiencing all that we truly desire. In part two, we continued our exploration of the human spiritual perspectives as we discussed the difference between perceiving as human versus perceiving as spiritual. In the spiritual perspective, we relax knowing that all is already manifest. If we can think it, it's already done. Because if it's not done, we can't think it. But how can it not be done if God is infinite? And the work of God and the knowing of God and the giving of God and the love of God and the peace of God are all infinite. When we think from our human selves, we find ourselves in worrying about things. Oh, what's the next thing I got to do? How do I do this? And we get busy thinking about the worry. When we're in the spiritual perspective, worry has no place. We live in the present moment and we know that all is perfect. When we perceive and act from the human self, we overthink things. We fall into that paralysis by analysis. You ever done that? I did it yesterday. I was out here just doing some work around the yard, and I was trying to plan out some things that are going to happen over the next few months. And I caught myself standing there staring, trying to figure, okay, if I do this first, then that means I have to undo it when I do this. And it just got so busy in my head, I just kind of froze up. I was thinking, but I wasn't moving, and nothing was happening. That's paralysis by analysis, and we do that all the time. We do it all the time. Thinking too much from a physical or material position leads us to stress. And I know you've heard me say this before, but I'm going to say it again. Stress is the leading cause of disease. If you do not believe that, I want you to read a book. It's The Only Answer to Cancer, and I can't remember the author's name. But if you're interested in that, I'll tell you about it. When we turn our thoughts to those that align with spiritual truth, we release the conditioned thinking and beliefs that we have learned throughout our lives. Nearly every thought that runs through your head is something that you learned from somebody else. And if you think it's a great thought, I want you to look at who you learned it from and ask, are they an expert? Sometimes the answer might be yes. Sometimes the answer is, whoa, no way. But even if the answer is yes, does that expert know what's best for me? So look at your thoughts. Pay attention to them. Pay attention to your beliefs. In part 3, we started talking about divine abundance. Think about that. I kind of referred to it just a few minutes ago. Divine abundance is the fact that everything that ever could be is already done in abundance. If you want a life filled with love, and you have mistakenly believed that, well, I've got to give this love out over here for the good of those people, and I'll sacrifice my own. When we get into that kind of thought process, we are putting a limit on how much love there is. There is no limit. There is only more love to receive and to give. The only limits in love or anything else are the limits that we place on it. There is no shortage. There is no separation. There is no limit. In manifesting, we create that which we desire according to our consciousness. So if we have a consciousness of limitation, that there is just a set amount of anything, we're going to create, we're going to manifest limitation. If we have the belief that all is in abundance, we're going to manifest abundance. Notice I'm not putting any tags on this. I'm not saying love now. I'm not saying money. I'm not saying homes. If we have a consciousness of divine abundance, that's what we manifest. Our human brains limit our ability to see that truth because we have taught ourselves based on what we have learned growing up. Especially if anybody who was raised by parents who went through the Depression, they got it honestly. That Depression hit, everything went out the window. Food was rationed. The belief that things are limited came in, and they passed it along because that's what got them through. That's what's got them through that if they didn't know this process. So they taught it. We learned it. I mean, hey, mom and dad are saying it. It's got to be somewhat true. Some people, mom and dad said it is absolutely true. I knew my mom and dad pretty well, so somewhat true. But these things get passed along from generation to generation to generation. Things that happened during the Revolutionary War have been passed down. There are some beliefs that you have right now that are based on something that happened back then. So that's what we're talking about here. We've got to stop this human thought process enough that we can see spiritual truth. And we can start forming new thoughts, new beliefs. And as we form new thoughts, new beliefs, we create a thought process that is aligned with manifestation, not limitation. One of the greatest things we can do is just imagine, and we talked about this last week for a little bit, was just imagine and vision what we desire as if it's already done right here, right now. Study after study after study have proven that if you sit in your chair in your living room and you vision riding a roller coaster or anything else, that's just what popped into my mind. If you vision riding a roller coaster and you hear the sounds and you imagine the rises and falls and you feel the wind in your face, if you're sitting in your living room and you're experiencing all of that stuff that you get with a roller coaster ride, your brain believes you're actually at the theme park on that roller coaster. See, our brains aren't real smart. It's a human thing. We can imagine it. And when we start imagining it, we start getting the endorphins and all the stuff, whatever chemicals the body produces, that align with that experience. As we do that, we get to feel that experience more deeply. And if we continue feeling that experience more deeply, the universe can't help but align and bring that thing into manifestation, into physical, material manifestation. So anyway, that was what led us to now. We are now talking about relaxing in truth. So giving our human personas a break and allowing God to create, we get out of the way. How many times have you been trying to do something really, really, really good, only to find that you're just in the way of it happening? I know that sometimes I'll get on, and it might be a really great path. It might be something that's doing good for many people. And I get in my head trying to write down this path, like when I create courses, I do this a lot. I start creating this path and I start, oh yeah, well this has got to be in there, this has got to be in there. And I start getting so busy on it that on paper, in my mind, anybody watching thinks, man, he's making some progress, he's doing good. But then when I get to the end, I realize, oh my gosh, I missed this, or I missed that, I missed this, because I got so busy I wasn't paying attention to what was coming to me. We get in our own way. So when we stop and we relax, we're not getting in our way anymore. We're actually allowing the process to happen. We do not need to create a project schedule and just dive in. When we first relax and first vision, imagine what it is that we desire, and we spend time in that experience, we allow direction and guidance to come in. And it's not direction and guidance from our minds, it's direction and guidance that are on the divine level. Human perceptions and beliefs that things should be certain ways become replaced with truth when we allow the guidance and the direction from the divine. A good friend of mine and a coach, a life coach, and we've collaborated on a couple things. She was a teacher of mine. She has a beautiful saying that I probably have said in here, but we're going to, again. She says, stop shoulding all over the place. Our minds get stuck. They think that we should do this and we should do that. The only should we should ever do is allow divine love. That's only should, and that probably is not correct to say that either, but if you're going to do a should, do that. These perceptions that we have on the human level will be replaced with perceptions of truth when we slow down and we relax and we just calm and we allow. Thoughts and beliefs that align with the truth of ourselves and the truth of our desires will expand in our consciousness. Here's that word consciousness again. We can have a consciousness on the mental, material plane. And most of us have probably lived most of our life there. Until you learned about this, I don't know what we call what we do here. I don't know whether it's new thought or whatever it is, however you title it. Until you learned that, you were probably thinking and believing and perceiving on that material level. When we started opening up, we start seeing different ways of seeing things, and that's where we are today. We're seeing from a spiritual perception. We're seeing from our spiritual consciousness, and that consciousness is what allows us to have, we've talked about Christ consciousness in here before. We all have it. We just have to open to it. The divine consciousness, whatever it is, that's when we find it, is when we start relaxing. Our need to control the journey is replaced with grateful acceptance of highest good the guidance of truth, the guidance of God. It's pretty awesome stuff. We become abundant by relaxing into the inherent abundance already within us and around us. We connect with this truth through relaxed imagination and spiritual visioning, embracing sights and sounds and feelings and experiences through our visions. Once we experience the truth of an experience, we hold it in our focus. So if your desire is to manifest a new car into your life, don't just see a picture of it and say, I want that, and be done. Don't see that picture and run out and do whatever you can do on the material level to get that car. When you see that picture, you first take it in. You bring the experience of that car within. And this is with anything, not just a car. You bring the experience in, and you experience it over and over and over again through your visions, through your intentions, through your words, through your thoughts. And when you start aligning your thoughts and your belief systems with that, manifestation begins. We hold in our focus that which we desire. And when we do so from a spiritual level, realizing that all is possible with God, that abundance is infinite, God is infinite, therefore what we desire is infinite. When we really start believing this and holding it, embracing it, we are living spiritually. Because I can't believe that what I desire out there is abundant and infinite if I'm not embracing the infinite presence of God. So we have to remember God is in everything, as everything, through everything. All is God. So spiritually, when we're doing anything from a spiritual level, we are one in God. We always are, but our awareness of it, our consciousness of it is growing. It is accepting and embracing the truth that God lives in us, as us, and through us that opens us to embrace it, to know it, to believe it. The level of which we understand and define this is determined by our awareness of the truth of God. So if you do not have a firm, solid, confident belief that God is in all, as all, and through all, just take a time out. Go into meditation, go into visioning, go into whatever it is you do that allows you to connect and connect more fully. So in manifestation, most of us try to attract things to us that are outside of us, physical or material things. When we see it outside of us, when we see it as separate from us, we will never be able to bring it to us. We'll never be able to attract it to us. We have got to connect to that which we want to manifest within our own being. That's why it was so important, that process that we did back at the first of the year, where what we really want. That's why that's so important. It's because maybe it is a new car that you were thinking about, but what experience, what feelings, what internal things are going to be happening when that manifests for you. When we connect to those things, we realize the truth of what we truly want. You still get the car. We can still do that. But it's when we manifest the feelings and the experiences, because what we find is those feelings and experiences are available places other than the cars. So here we go, man. We get to attract all of these things from all over the place. Identify what you want, and then identify the feelings associated with it. There is nothing to discover and nothing to attain outside of our own awareness. It's very important. I want you to hear that again. There is nothing to discover and nothing to attain outside of our own awareness. So even if you're talking about a material house, it's got to be within your own awareness. It's got to be within your own understanding first. Experience what that house is going to bring you. Know what that house is going to bring you. And tune in to the experience. Once we do that, we have attained, we have discovered within our own selves what it is that we truly desire. And then we can start thinking and believing and acting as if it's already done. For the most part, we as a society have become creatures in need of instant gratification. That's put the hurt on a lot of people, that instant gratification. The truth is, you can have instant gratification when you look at what that thing you desire is going to do within you. If that new car is going to bring you a feeling of security or independence, you can feel secure and independent inside with or without that car. That's where you get your instant gratification. And when you do that, you can relax into this manifestation process by cooling your jets. You're not rushing out and buying the first car on the lot. You've got the experience that that car is going to bring you already within. You can experience every moment of every day, and that allows you to take time to do whatever you're led to do, whether it be to go to 100 different lots or get on Carvana or whatever those things are called. Your options start opening up before you. We cannot find calm when we are fighting for or against anything. So if you are fighting to make something good happen, you're blocking your own way. You've got to find that calm. You've got to find that peace. You've got to relax. We find calm when we relax into the truth and belief that it is already done. It's already done. Relaxation, to some people, feels lazy. In truth, when relaxation includes your thought process, your belief process, when you really go internal and deep and within, relaxation is holiness. It is releasing the human effort and resting in God's love and God's creative power. When we relax, we allow our thinking and feelings to be experienced from the Christ mind, that Christ consciousness. The calmness we find is where what some people call miracles occurs. I'm going to give you my definition of miracle since I just used the word. My definition of miracle is our ability to see something that we've never seen before. Since God is everywhere present, and in God everything is already everywhere present, I don't believe that God all of a sudden says, oh, poof, put this there, a car. I don't believe that happens. I believe that the ability to get that car is already there, and the miracle is when we finally open our eyes to see the truth of it. It's always been there, but we see it. One last thing, real quick, talking about being able to see things. It is said through, and this supposedly came from some writings of when Columbus came over to the Americas. According to these writings, the Native Americans that were standing on shore as they came up could not see the ships, even though the ships were just offshore. They couldn't see them because their minds had never seen anything remotely similar to what at that time was a giant ship. So they couldn't even see it. It wasn't until the rowboats carrying the people came up that they were able to see, okay, here's something in the water coming towards us. Oh, this is people. They're in a boat. And then at that point, they apparently were able to understand that there was something bigger out there. We can't see it until we open our minds to allow it to receive it. That's where the miracle happens. Let's pray. Father God, opening to your truth is omnipresent, omnipotent, omniscient. We know renewal of our consciousness is one of the beautiful acts of love that you offer in each moment. We open to and allow this renewal on all levels of our experience. We accept this renewal of consciousness and allow it to expand our awareness to the divine power, presence, and wisdom available to us at all times. We embrace the truth within us that we are wholly connected to you and you to us, that we are one. We embrace the knowing that you are present within us and all things always. With this knowing, we release all resistance. We release all conditioned thoughts and beliefs, and we are open to a renewal of consciousness. This renewal of consciousness increases our understanding of your divine promises and truth and action within us. Knowing the increase we seek is already within, we open our hearts and minds and our understanding that we may continuously renew our awareness and our experience. We are grateful, and so it is. Amen.